Albert Einstein. I was born March 14th, 1879 to 1921. I was born in Ulm, Germany. And I'm a Jewish philosopher of science.
I'm Galileo. I was born in Pisa, Italy on February 15th, 1564. I'm a physicist, mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher.
Oh, hello, my name is Isaac Newton. I was born on Christmas of 1642, but the calendar changed in the 19th century, which my birthday is now known as January 4th, 1643. I was actually born close to the time of my buddy over there, Galileo's death. And I died March 20th, 1727. And I'm a mathematician and a physicist.
I helped my family in the family business, manufacturing electronic parts. I was employed at a patent office from 1902 to 1909. I got my PhD in 1905. I attended the Swiss Federal Institute of Tech, where I failed a test that would allow me to be in electrical engineering.
Hello again. I've been referred to as the father of modern observational astronomy, the father of modern physics, and the father of modern science. In my teenage years, long time ago, I attended the monastery school near Florence, Italy.
Oh, I'll drink to that.
After that, in the year 1581,
Cheerio!
I attended the University of Pisa, where I studied medicine.
Indeed.
However, I wasn't more interested in arithmetic, so I decided to make mathematical subjects and philosophy my career. Like I said.
Alright, I attended Trinity College in Cambridge, where I developed an interest in mathematics and laws of nature, which led me to my two famous works, Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, and Optics.
Albert Einstein, myself, also invented E equals mc squared, which is here, which is energy equals mass squared. Energy and matter are different forms of the same thing, which is why they are equal. For example, the amount of energy in 30 grams of a hydrogen atom is equal to the burning of hundreds of thousands of gallons of gasoline when converted. The process of nuclear fission is when two protons get thrown at each other at very high speeds. That this occurs inside of an atomic bomb. So now you see what happens inside an atomic bomb. I also discovered the theory of relativity, which I will get back to you on.
In the Principia, I explained three basic laws that govern the way objects move. I described my idea, theory, and gravity. Gravity is the force that causes things to fall down. I learned this one day when I was sitting out, and this fell on my head. I explained three basic laws that govern the way objects move. I then described my idea and theory of gravity. Gravity is the force that causes things to fall down. Just like this apple once fell on my head, which made me realize gravity is existent. In optics, I explained the optics and refraction of light.
In the year 1609, I had heard that in the Netherlands an instrument had been invented that showed distant things as they were close by. I quickly figured out the secret of the invention and made my own 3-powered spyglass. I figured out how to enhance the instrument and produce a high-powered telescope. In January 1610, I discovered 4 moons that were revolving around Jupiter. The telescope showed many of the stars are visible than with the naked eye.
I'm back with the theory of relativity. This theory is split into two categories, the special theory and the general theory. The special theory deals with the question of whether rest and motion are relative or absolute. The general theory applies to particles, and it applies to particles as they are accelerating due to gravity, which completely goes against Isaac Newton's theory of gravity. My theory correctly reproduces the prediction of Newton's theory. My theory is proved to be accurate, and an example is the solar eclipse of 1999.
I was always very interested in Galileo's studies, such as his discovery that this guy right here, The planets revolve around the sun. Prior to him discovering that, everyone thought that the planets revolved around the Earth.
Not true.
Very untrue. I thought the universe worked like a machine and had few simple laws to govern it. I was wrong. Like Galileo, I realized that mathematics was the way to explain and prove these laws. I was one of the world's greatest scientists because I took ideas from Galileo and the ideas of earlier scientists and combined them into a purified picture of how the universe works.
I came out with a book called Sidereus Nuncius, or the Cerebral Messenger, in which I described my findings. I'm a strong believer in Copernicism, the belief that Earth rotates daily on its axis and planets revolve in orbits around the sun. I died in January 1642. I know, sad. The same year in which Sir Isaac Newton was born.
To prove that particles accelerate due to gravity, I will drop this.
Animal abuse.
As it accelerates. Now, if I throw it up, obviously gravity doesn't move up. It pulls down. Doesn't accelerate. As it goes down. The quantum theory, the theory of light, predicts how the world behaves at an atomic level. Light exists as tiny particles, which are photons. Therefore, discovering that we live in a quantum universe, where we are surrounded by tiny particles of energy, matter.
When most people think of me, they think of me sitting there and an apple falling on my head. When I saw the apple fall, I began to think about a specific kind of motion. Gravity. I understood that gravity was the force of attraction between two objects. I also understood that an object with more mass, exerted the greater force, or pulled a smaller object towards it. That meant that the large mass of Earth pulled objects towards it. That is why the apple fell down on my head instead of floating up. What if gravity extends beyond the Earth into space, onto the moon? I calculated the force needed to keep the motion moving around the Earth, and then compared it with the force when the apple fell downward. After allowing for the fact that the moon is much further from the Earth and has a much greater mass, I discovered that the forces were the same. The moon is held in orbit around the Earth by the pull of gravity. My calculations changed the way people understood the universe. No one had been able to explain why the planets stayed in their orbits. What held them up? Less than 50 years before I was born, it was thought the planets were held in place by an invisible shield. I proved that they were held in place by the sun's gravity. I also showed the force of gravity was affected by distance and mass. I was not the first to understand that the orbit of the planet was not circular. It is in fact elongated and oval.
Now that we've talked about my theories in my early life as an electrical engineer, here's some quick facts about me you probably wouldn't know. I won the Nobel Peace Prize for physics. I was born with abnormally large head, and the doctors thought that I was mentally retarded, but really I was just really, really smart. I was offered presidency of my country multiple times, but I declined due to personal reasons.
Every object in a state of uniform motion tends to remain in that state of motion unless an external force is applied to it. This basically means that if an object is not being pushed or pulled by some force, it will stay still. The relationship between an object's mass and its acceleration and the applied force. Acceleration and force are vectors. In this law, the direction of the force vector is the same as the direction of the acceleration vector. But basically this explains how force acts on an object. An object accelerates in the direction or velocity of the force moving it. The larger the mass of the object, the greater the force will need to be to cause it to accelerate. Force equals mass times acceleration. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The third law states that if there is an object being pushed or pulled, it will push or pull equally in the opposite direction. If I've seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of a giant.
The secret of creativity is knowing how to hide your sources.
All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them.
We build too many walls and not enough bridges.
Anyone who has ever made a mistake has never tried anything new.
You cannot teach a man anything. You can only have him discover it within himself.
Tact is the art of making a point without making an enemy.
A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit, and a violin. What else does a man need to be happy?
Where the senses fail us, reason must step in.
I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people.
Anger dwells on the bosom of fools.
I'm Rich, and I played Galileo. I love you, Mr. Thompson.
I'm Erica, and I played Albert Einstein.
I'm Andrew, and I played Isaac Newton.
I actually got my PhD in 1905. 3 years after I was born.
I then studied gravity because I'm an asshole and don't know what I'm talking about.
In the year 1609, I had heard that in the Netherlands an instrument had been... Why is there no music?
Two.
Just say it for camera screens with that
We held each other. Hold on. Two protons. I was offered presidency of my country multiple times, but I declined due to personal reasons. You're gonna cut me out doing this?
It will stay still. What are you doing?
Just keep going.
Are you like zoomed in on my face?
It looks like your head's floating because you're a black jacket.
Aww.
And use your hands. Let's all figure stuff out now.
I'm just gonna do that over because I already don't even know. Okay.
All together. Do this.
Thank you very much.